Welcome to another episode of That's Some Crazy Shit with Kelly and James. My name is Kelly and my co-host is Mr. James. What's up, dude?
Well, I'm just kind of hanging out here in the corner studio.
The corner studio on the lot, right? The corner studio in the house or the corner studio on the lot?
I thought I could call it a tower because it wasn't tall enough.
No, tower has to be, I would imagine your standard tower has to be a certain height in order for you to call it a tower.
So it's not a tower.
Not quite, Sue. Not quite at all.
Maybe, I don't know. Second floor, that doesn't sound cool.
Nah. But you could just say the studio.
The corner? It is a corner, though. I have a nice view.
Okay, just the studio. We don't care. What does it matter if it's a corner? Is that like a status thing?
Yeah, man.
How do you know these things?
Because I just know weird shit like that. That's the way it is in the business world, man. You want the corner office because it's usually bigger, and you get usually two windows, two outside views.
Keep that in mind. But my friend,
you work from home, my friend. What are you talking about?
Well, I don't have a corner, office. I have an entire room that has great lighting. So that's why I was just wondering. But at any rate, that's not why we're here. We are here because we have a podcast called That's Some Crazy Shit. We have a guest today, and this stuff is crazy shit, James. I know that you know about it. Astral projection.
Yeah. I took a couple of classes to try to do this. It's funny, I took the classes and then we still had questions. You were asking me stuff I couldn't answer because I didn't know from the guy I was taking these classes from. So then Vincent shows up.
So Vincent is a guy who, just reached out to us, said he, wanted to talk about this topic, that he does this all the time. He is an astral projectionist. That's what I would call it. And basically, he'll tell you what it is, but, it's like basically leaving your body and going other dimensions. So that sounds pretty up the alley of crazy shit to me, no?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, then I say we get right to it.
Let's do it then.
Welcome to the podcast, Astral Projectionist Vincent Field. Vincent, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and joining us on That's Some Crazy Shit. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So I am, me and James have talked about this topic before, astral projection. We actually were really happy that you decided to come on and talk about it because we were really looking for somewhat of an expert. So for those that don't know, explain to us what astral projection is.
Astral projection is a type of out-of-body experience in which your consciousness leaves the physical body and the physical dimension, and it enters higher dimensions of reality. And so during these projections, your consciousness is experiencing an entirely different level of reality than we experience here in the physical world.
And go ahead, James.
Oh, go ahead, go. So Vince, so when you astral project and you go into another reality, can you interact with the people and things and objects in that reality?
Yes, definitely. Right. It's pretty common to encounter other people, other entities. You can encounter people who are also in an out-of-body state. You can encounter people who have died and have passed over into the afterlife, which essentially is, these higher dimensions. And you can also encounter non-human entities, and some of them, are good, and some of them are bad. And okay, so when I say good and bad, essentially what I mean is, I would say benevolent and malevolent. So some of them seem to have negative intentions, right? Like I've been attacked by certain entities while out of my body, but others have benevolent intentions and have allowed me to have these incredible experiences and have revealed really like life-changing things to me. So yeah, you have the entire spectrum out there.
So
how did you get? Oh,
well, let me ask a question real quick. So is this something that anybody can do?
Yeah, definitely. You just really need to learn how to do it and, practice. I mean, for me, I started when I was 14 years old, and I found a technique on the internet. Back then, it was like the year 2000. And so the information was still pretty limited on the internet, the early days. But I came across a technique, and within a week of trying every day, I was successful. I had my first out-of-body experience, and I was pretty consistent with it. I was consistent with my practice in terms of trying every day, at least once a day. But I was also consistent with my success. So I was successfully projecting from my body regularly, and over time I started to learn different techniques, and I started to become more efficient and effective at this practice.
So, Vincent, what drives a 14-year-old to look into something like that? That's not something most 14-year-olds do.
Yeah, right. It could be some kind of mental disease or genetic disability, but I was just always really curious. I was interested in like paranormal, occult, fringe type topics from a young age. I was always very open-minded and curious, and just the idea that there was more to this reality than just this physical world was just so fascinating to me. And I shared this with my friends at the time back then, and most of them just thought I was a little crazy. They weren't interested in it at all. A couple of them were pretty cool with it. One of my buddies actually tried it too, and I taught him my technique, and he was actually able to leave his body, but he didn't really have the interest that I had, so he kind of quit after a little while.
So,
well, if we would have been around when we were kids, we would have listened to you, man.
Probably. So I'm interested that you had mentioned, different techniques and everything. So if somebody was interested in doing this for the very first time, really doesn't know anything about it, what would be maybe the simplest way for them to be able to begin this process?
I think the easiest technique involves waking up early in the morning, earlier than you would usually wake up. So let's say you usually sleep for 8 hours, and you'd wake up after about 6 hours. And this is the second technique I ever learned. The first technique is much longer and more painstaking. And this is a technique you do at night before bed. So the thing is, in the early morning, your body and mind are already in the ideal state to project. And so this is the best time to do it. And so I'll tell you the technique that I used back in the day, and it's something that I continued to use over the years, and I fine-tuned it, and now it's almost like an instantaneous thing, but it all stemmed from this one technique that I used back in the day. So you wake up early after about 6 hours of sleep, and then you get up and you stay up for half an hour to an hour, and then you go back to bed. And so when you go back to bed, you lay on your back. You basically do a type of meditation that involves affirmations and a third eye focus. So you focus all of your awareness on your third eye, the third eye chakra, which is between your eyebrows, a little bit inside the head, maybe a couple inches inside the head. And while focusing on this area, you state affirmations, which is basically a statement of intent. And the idea here is that you want to program your subconscious mind to trigger the projection. And so I would repeat the affirmations, my body is asleep and my mind is awake, over and over again, because this is the state that you want to enter. because actually, when we go to sleep, this projection takes place naturally, and it takes place every time we go to sleep, but we're usually unconscious for it. So the key is to remain conscious for this natural process that happens anyway. And what would happen usually is that after maybe 10 minutes of repeating these affirmations, my body would start to fall asleep. I would witness my body fall asleep, and I would project from my body. And it was pretty much as simple as that.
When you say project, do you mean that you would physically be able to, not physically, you would see your body laying in bed and you would go someplace else?
Like an out-of-body experience?
Like an out-of-body experience, or now your mind has projected you to another place? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Well, what it is it's your consciousness. Our consciousness, like right now, is grounded in the physical body, in the physical dimension of reality. Okay, but we actually have other bodies, like spiritual bodies or energy bodies, that are within and integrated with the physical body right now. But during sleep and during these projections, the energy body separates from the physical body, and it basically becomes active in whatever particular dimension it is attuned to. And so it is your consciousness shifting into a deeper level of yourself. And so during these projections, you inhabit a type of spirit body or energy body. And it's not just your mind, but you do also have kind of like an astral equivalent of the physical body that you use to navigate the astral dimension.
It's almost an avatar type thing.
Yeah, sure.
So I had to throw that in there.
But that's cool. So if the key is to put the body asleep and keep the mind awake and try to project, I guess for me, it's like, how do you know when you've actually succeeded? I mean, do some people astral project and maybe don't remember?
Well, yeah. The thing is, these experiences are how can I say it? When you project from your body, you are experiencing essentially the same level of awareness that you have during your normal waking life, right? And so during the experience, you're aware, I'm out of my body. There's no mistaking that. Now, what can happen sometimes is after the experience, your memory of it can almost seem a little dreamlike, especially in the beginning, because you haven't had a lot of, experience, or, you don't have that experience to discern, these different levels of reality. And so the closest thing to this experience of, flying around and, passing through walls and encountering all these unusual entities is like, it's kind of like a dream, And so, some people can mistake the projection for a dream afterwards, even though during the projection they are fully aware and there's no denying it. It's kind of like there's these doubts arise after the fact.
Interesting. So I was told once, Vincent, that you could astral project and then go into past lives. Is that true?
Yeah, I have quite a few experiences with that. And now when you say go into past lives, what I've experienced is memories and experiences of essentially other versions of myself that, and it's not necessarily just past lives, but it's more of a timeless phenomenon in these higher levels of reality. And so I've experienced myself as not only having another life at this current time, but being a non-human entity. And so I'll explain this one particular experience. I was out of my body, and this alien looking entity appeared before me, and this telepathic link opened up between us, and then I just got this download of memories and experience and knowledge and insight into who I am in this other system of reality. What I was told, what I was informed, and what I experienced was that I am an alien, just like this alien that was right in front of me, having a life concurrently with this one that I'm living right now. And not only that, but I had this strong bond with this entity that was in front of me. And yeah, so things like that, it seems really far out there explaining it to people. But the thing is, when you start to experience higher dimensions, so in the beginning of your practice, you'll typically only experience the lower dimensions, but with practice and development, you begin to enter higher and higher levels of non-physical reality. And in these higher levels, you have a stronger connection with this higher consciousness that we are a part of. And with that connection comes these insights and this level of, it's kind of like a direct connection with truth. And so during the experience, there's no doubt that this is true and this is real. But after the fact, and then explaining to other people, it's hard to accurately convey it, just because from a person who has never had these experiences, they have nothing to relate it to. So it seems like pure fantasy,
Right.
So
you could say that with the, oh, go ahead, guys. My bad.
And I was gonna say, so how often do you project? Every day, every night, once a week?
Yeah, every day.
I
mean, at this point, it's almost spontaneous, so I don't really have to try. You know what I mean? A lot of times it'll happen without me even intending it to, or I will have the intention, and it's really a matter of waking up at the right time, and from there, the projection happens within seconds.
Interesting.
How long do you spend there, Vincent? Is it you like set a time in your mind, or you just come back when you're ready? Is there, how does that work? Or is time go the same in these different dimensions?
Yeah, some experiences appear to be very long, and it also depends on your level of development and how long you have been doing this for. Because in the beginning, it can be hard to actually stay out of your body. It's like there's this force sometimes that seems to just want to pull you back into your body, and so there are certain challenges like that you need to overcome and learn how to experience these other states for longer and longer periods of time. And another issue is remembering the experiences, because the longer the experience is, the harder it is to retain the memory of the entire thing. And so I found short and to the point experiences are ideal. So I'll project and I'll have a particular goal, and then I'll try to achieve that goal right away, and no messing around with other stuff. And also it's common for me to have back-to-back projections. So I'll have an out-of-body experience, I'll come back to my body, and then within seconds I'll project again. And sometimes having 5 or 6 back-to-back projections, well, like the memories of the newer projections start to replace the older experiences. And so it's also good to keep a journal after each projection, just write down a few key words so you can go back and then project again and remember everything.
So you had said that when you project, you have a goal. What give me an example of what a goal would be that you're trying to do when you project?
Sure. I'll give you an example of one of the first goals that I had back in the day. It was to contact my deceased great-grandmother. And so during this one particular experience, I left my body and I stated my intent. I want to meet my great-grandmother. She had died several years before that. And what's interesting is that I mentioned we're connected, we're part of this higher consciousness. And we're typically not aware of this higher level of our consciousness, during our normal waking life. But in these higher states, you gain this connection with it, like you become aware of it essentially. And what this does is it allows you to, well, you kind of have access to this, how can I say, this kind of like enormous power that this higher level of consciousness has. And so you'll state an intention, like I stated the intention, I want to project from, I want to meet my great grandmother. And then I was just sucked out into space by this force that was just pulling me. And I had no idea where I was going. I didn't know where I was going to meet her or how the encounter would take place. I just stated the intention. And through this connection with my higher level of consciousness, the experience essentially manifested without me having to do anything. And so I was pulled through space, and the next thing I knew, I was face to face with her. And so this is essentially how we can carry out, achieving whatever goal we have. We essentially state the intention and allow our higher consciousness to direct our experience.
Wow.
It's just like, it's funny, you talk about stating your intention. That is so common in so many things that people, I don't think even understand it. When you go to meditate, you want to, you're stating your intention while you're meditating. And it's you have to be very specific. Even when we manifest things, you have to be very specific and state your intention, what you're doing.
So Vincent, when you said that you had this connection with this other alien, you've gone and experienced past lives. Would you say that most of us, and I'm just saying people, period, aren't we all basically aliens experiencing this particular experience right now, but we've all experienced other experiences?
Yeah, sure. I guess the term alien is relative to wherever your base reality is. So like, from the physical standpoint, like our base is the Earth. So anything outside from another planet is considered an alien,
Right.
And so sure, yeah, in a sense, everyone is.
Yeah, I would say, everyone is, if that's the case. And two, when you astral project, can you affect the future?
Can you affect the future? So do you mean like project into the future?
Yes, like project into the future, and basically now we're time traveling, because in a sense, isn't that what you are doing? Maybe not in the way that I know time, or time that we think time, but if you're going to different places and experiencing different things, there's different levels of dimension. There's some level of time involved, I'm thinking. So can you project into a time that maybe for us has not happened yet? The future.
Sure. So the thing is, yeah, in these higher dimensions, time, well, it seems like time has the strongest effect down like in this base level of reality, the physical world. And as you get higher and higher, it becomes less of an influencing factor. And so like at some of the higher levels, you'll experience multiple lifetimes simultaneously, past, present, future. And the thing is, having an effect, it reminds me of some people who ask me if I can leave my body and go visit them in the room and read a number that they've written, put on their table or something. And the thing is, during these experiences, we're not experiencing the physical dimension. We're experiencing these other dimensions, completely different dimensions from this physical world. And so like having a direct effect on the physical world, it just doesn't fit in with the nature of these experiences, right? Because you don't have this actual direct experience of the physical dimension. Now, the thing is that it is all interrelated and connected. And so, the physical body, for example, can be affected by these deeper layers of the energy body, right? And so in that sense, that there can be effects. And also during these experiences, you can interact with people who are living in the physical world, and you can communicate with them, right? But usually you'll be communicating with higher aspects of their consciousness, which they are not like physically aware of, right? And so I believe these communications and encounters can have a type of effect on the person, maybe indirectly, or like planting a seed in these deeper layers of their mind, which can perhaps manifest in their life in some way at a later time.
Interesting. That is
It's wild stuff, man.
So if somebody wanted to learn more about astral projection and maybe start to practice, where would you recommend that they start?
Well, I would recommend reading about it, books, internet, YouTube videos. Just get this base level of knowledge, understand what it is, learn how to do it, learn some techniques. Do your research, see what techniques the experts are using, and then just try it yourself. It's really important to be dedicated and consistent in your practice. If you want to do it, you need to really put effort into it, right? And it's not only about the technique, or about how often you're trying to do this, but there are other factors involved as well, like your beliefs. Some people have beliefs that kind of contradict this practice, or some people have fear. They're afraid, for example, that something bad's going to happen when they leave their body. Maybe that their physical body will get possessed by a demon when they're projecting, which of course doesn't happen. It doesn't work like that. But things like this need to be taken care of before you're going to be successful in this.
Gotcha. Vincent, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing with us about astral projection. I enjoyed it. I think just one more question, because I know this is something that if I wanted to try, if somebody wanted to try this and not them getting discouraged, on average, just for the layman person who's never tried it before, how long would you say they would need to practice every day before they really maybe started to feel like they were successful? A week, 2 weeks, a month, or does it just vary per person?
Well, it does vary per person, but to give an average, perhaps I would say a month seems like a reasonable time. Some people can do it on their first or second try, and for some people, they claim that they've been trying for years, right? But I would say expect something to happen within the first month. That is, if you're if you're following all the steps, right? If you're doing everything right, then there's no reason why it won't work, right? So, if time has gone by and you're still not seeing any results, you're not successful, well, you need to kind of take a step back and really analyze every aspect of your practice, right? And like I said, it's not just a technique or trying it all the time, but really like do a deep dive, analyze like your thoughts, your beliefs, your fears, and maybe work needs to be done in these deeper levels before you can actually start to see results.
That totally makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Vincent.
Sure.
You know, 'cause I think we've talked about this before, how you can move between dimensions and frequencies and stuff, you know.
That's what
But
they
I think
say.
if we could actually harness to do that, that would be bad. You know, I would like to do that. I'm sure everyone would, you know, but it's funny that I was just looking into this and then Vincent comes.
Yeah, you know, and he says he does this all the time. And, you know, we talked about this. This is one of those things where you're never going to get any tangible evidence unless you do it yourself.
Right.
So it's one of those things that somebody can't prove to you works. You have to do it yourself. Right. And you either
science that's gonna back this up.
You either believe this stuff or you don't. He says you can travel to different dimensions, meeting different types of entities, and it's, you know, that's crazy shit.
That is some crazy shit.
That is some crazy shit. So, you know, I know that there's classes like you took to learn how to do it. There's books you can read if you're interested. You know, James, you took the class. Did you ever actually like incorporate what you learned? And, you know, it takes practice. It's not going to happen on the first time.
No, it does take, well, according to Vincent, it can.
Well,
but for me, it hasn't. And like you said, it takes practice, and I have to be more disciplined in trying to do the meditation and that. But it's funny, I'll wake up, let's say at 6, and then I'll set my snooze or whatever, and then I'll meditate until the snooze goes off.
So that's the perfect time
the best for me. Yeah,
that's the perfect time for you to. He had a little mantra about leaving his body. That's the perfect time for you to say this over and over, and maybe one of those mornings you'll actually leave your body. Because, you know, you say you have energy body, and I've heard that, and, you know, hey, again, that's why we do the podcast.
Okay, I have a question. And we'll just count this as random bullshit then.
Okay.
All right. So, you're astral projecting, you're leaving your body. Is that your soul?
He said it was your energy body.
Yeah, but would you consider that your soul?
I mean, I guess it's all about perspective, maybe. Yeah. Is your energy body your soul? It's like, okay, so here's some, I'll even take you one better. I just barely saw the movie Avatar, right? I know it came out like a long time ago, but I just barely saw it. And
long time ago,
but I just barely saw it. So I just barely saw it. And at the end, you know, dude, his essence, his energy body, his soul left his body and went into the body of the blue person. So is the energy body, is that your soul that gets up and walks around to these different dimensions? And is your soul the same thing as your energy body? Because that's what he called it.
Well, you know, now I don't remember if his soul is going into the blue dude. Where's the blue dude's soul?
The blue dude was an avatar that they created. The blue dude wasn't a person that they took. The blue dude was created by the humans as an avatar.
Was he a biological avatar?
Yeah, they like created him. They grew him. They mixed the two DNAs together and basically grew this avatar. And then
they put the wounded dude in there?
They put wounded dude in there because they used to put his brother in there, but his brother was killed. And because it was his twin brother, he matched the DNA match for the avatar. That's why he could use the avatar.
Oh, see, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. So, but it wasn't like they took a blue dude and then pulled out his soul and put in somebody else's soul. No, they actually like created the blue dude. They like got DNA from a human and a blue dude and created their own dude, made an avatar.
Hybrid.
Yeah, and that's how they knew that he was an alien. They could smell it. They knew that he wasn't a true blue dude. They knew that. They knew he was alien.
And yet they still did kill him right off.
No, they actually gave him the opportunity to prove himself. And when he did, what did he do? He betrayed them, only to try to come back and like save the day. But you didn't have to betray him to begin with, to have to go to save the day. So that was kind of like the roundabout way. Then you not only do you betray them and they take you back, you become one of them at the end. What?
And them is some forgiving people.
I'm telling you, because
I mean, if I'm sorry, but if you walk into my tribe and I'm smelling you and you're not smelling quite right, I'm going to keep an eye at least on you.
You know, and they did, but you know, he learned all their ways, but at the same time, he's going back and giving intel to the crazy, you know, psycho military dude, because there's one in all these types of movies, there's always a crazy psycho military dude. You know, of course, he wants to take everybody out, and you know, but you know, the movie, although 2009 you said, you know, still very relevant today, so you know, it was okay. I didn't yawn.
No naps. How many naps?
I didn't nap. I stayed awake through the whole thing. I did think it was. I did think it was a little long. I thought it was just a tad long for. I mean, come on, we could have wrapped it up, James Cameron. So I know that Avatar 2 is coming out, or maybe by the time this airs, it will be out, or it's coming out. I don't know if it's going to be as long or what it could possibly be about, because you think we just leave these people alone on their planet, but I guess humans are coming back because, you know, we just don't take no for an answer. We know it's not ours, but we want that shit anyway.
Yeah, we want that shit anyway.
So we're coming back to get it, part 2.
And then what makes me laugh is we're like, gee, I wonder if aliens would be peaceful. We should reach out to more advanced civilizations. I'm like, well, let's kind of look back, people. What happens on our own planet?
Right?
When one race goes to another area, you know? It's usually not good.
Well, that's what Stephen Hawking said.
Oh, that's what history says.
Well, I'm just saying, that's what he said about aliens.
It's too late, though. The word's out.
Oh, on aliens?
No, the word's out that we're out here.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, according to some of the stuff I follow on Instagram, aliens are already here, James, and have been for a real long time.
Oh, I know that.
You know, look at all the stuff on YouTube. That's a whole nother deal.
Maybe we should do a show about that.
About aliens on YouTube?
Just aliens or abductions or not YouTube.
I'm sorry. I didn't know where we were going. I apologize. Let's wrap this up. So you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. We would appreciate that. We also are on YouTube as well, although we are audio only at this time. James, next week we will have yet another fantastic guest.
Ready now?
Ready now.
Keep your minds open, people.